Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's actually really late in the day and I have finally peeled my ass off of the bed to sit down, be productive, put on some makeup, film a video, and then I'm probably gonna take it all off and get right back into bed. So today I have some old products, I have some new products, and then this first thing I'm using here kind of falls somewhere in between. So for a few weeks now, I have been playing around with these products from Glam Glow. I have the Bright Eyes Illuminating Anti-Fatigue Eye Cream, and when I bought this at Sephora, it came with a small sample size of the Glam Glow Glow Starter, which is a mega illuminating moisturizer. Now, it's probably been about 3 weeks that I've been using these products, and I will say that I'm not exactly sure how I feel about the eye cream. I've said this several times before on my channel that whenever I try a different eye cream other than the MAC Fast Response eye cream, I'm usually not super impressed with it, and I always end up going back to that eye cream. This one, I thought it was gonna have a little bit more illumination than it actually does. I don't really see it that much, maybe a tiny bit. And aside from that, I'm just not really sure if I like what it's doing for my eye area. Now, at the same time that I started using this, I also started using the caffeine solution from The Ordinary, and I'm not sure which product is doing it, but I have definitely noticed that I have a lot of tightness around my eyes, and not tightness like it's being like tightened and lifted from it like doing its job or whatever. I feel like something is definitely drying out my eye area, and sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and my eyes are like super puffy and really tight, and if I put makeup over top of it, like the dry skin and the makeup just doesn't really look that great together. So I put the caffeine solution on the back burner. I figured I would just go ahead and use this alone for a few days and see how that's doing. And honestly, I have noticed that like the tightness and the dryness and all of that stuff that was going on, it hasn't really come back since I stopped using the caffeine solution. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one till it's gone because I have made quite a dent in it in the last few weeks. But once I'm done using this, I am gonna go ahead and start using the MAC Fast Response eye cream again. I don't know why I ever switched from that one because it is the one that I like the most. If it isn't broken, don't fix it until they discontinue it, and then you'll have to find something else anyway. But I feel like that product is pretty safe from being discontinued. So anyway, but surprisingly, what I did end up really liking a lot is this Glow Starter Moisturizer. Now, I think that I had told you guys that I had gotten a sample of this as like a birthday gift from Sephora a couple years back. I used it a little bit here and there, and I noticed that like the glow that's in it was definitely not like a smooth, even glow, but it was definitely like patchy and like weird looking on the skin. It didn't really play with makeup all that well. And when I bought that eye cream, I figured that I would just go ahead and gift this to somebody, but you know, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided that I wanted to give it another try, so I did, and I fucking love this stuff. First of all, I don't like scents in my products. Like, I don't like a fragrance product usually on my face, but the smell, I don't know, it's like an orange creamsicle scent of this, I really like a lot. It only lasts really until the product kind of sinks into your skin, and then that does go away. And it's really crazy because, again, I've always been super, super oily, and for like the first, you know, almost 40 years of my life, I was really trying to combat that oil. I really wanted a matte finished look on my skin, and I don't know what it is. It's like the older I get, I really am kind of embracing more of a dewy finish to my skin. I guess I just kind of figured that if my skin starts out looking a little bit shiny, then it just kind of always looks like that all day, you know what I mean? And I have noticed that I haven't really been touching up my makeup at all throughout the day because, again, it just kind of always looks the same from the time time that I put my makeup on until the end of the night. I do have to touch up a little bit underneath my mask where, you know, that kind of wears off your foundation and stuff. But other than that, I really have been liking more of a dewy finish to my skin. I just think that it looks a little bit younger, a little bit fresher. And I don't know, that's just kind of what I'm liking right now. Now, once I'm finished with this little sample container here, what I'm thinking that I'm gonna do, instead of buying a full size of the Glow Starter, is I wanna buy a Strobe Cream from MAC. I haven't used that product in a long time, and I figure that's gonna do pretty much the same thing that this one does, especially since Strobe Cream comes in different colors now. It comes in just like the standard kind of like pearl version, but now they have them in like silver, they have them in gold, they have it in like a pink and a peach. I think I'm probably gonna end up with the peach one. And the reason that I'm gonna try that one again over getting another one of these is that this product is really fucking expensive for the full size. I think for 1.7 ounces, this is $50, where 1.7 ounces of Strobe Cream is, I think it's $30, but then with my Mac Pro discount, which is a 30% discount, I'm getting that one for like 20 bucks. So I think that I do want to pick one of those up. And if I don't like it as much as this, then I'll go ahead and pick this one up next time, you know? Now, I think it is totally normal, perfectly acceptable to be switching around and trying different foundations all the time. I think that we're all just looking for the one, you know, like that perfect foundation that has the perfect amount of coverage, but doesn't look like makeup. Like, we're all looking for that, right? And if you guys have been here with me since the beginning of my channel, then you'll know that like my holy grail foundation has kind of been all over the place over the last like 3.5 years. But what I find myself coming back to over and over again, to the point where, I mean, this is pretty much done and dead here. I have to get a new one of these pretty soon. I have been using the MAC Studio Finish Concealer. It does have SPF in it, maybe like an SPF 15. I'm not exactly sure. I have been using this in the shade NW20. And what I've been doing lately is I've been using this as both my concealer and my foundation. I have been using this 146 Concealer Perfector brush from Zoeva. And what I've been doing is just kind of starting under my eyes where I have some discoloration. I want to cancel all of that stuff out. And then I basically just like start from there and start blending it out from the center of my face, almost just into like this area here. I haven't been taking my foundation all over my entire face because I find that it just doesn't need it. I think with contouring and blush and highlighter and all of that kind of stuff, once you get all of those layers of product on the skin, I think that you find that you really just don't need to be taking your foundation all the way up into your hairline and all the way down your neck. For me anyway, I just don't find it 100% necessary. I think that other than the overall redness of my skin, which I'm never gonna get rid of, it's always gonna be the color of a boiled hot dog. That's just what it is. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the overall tone and texture of my skin. And so I figure if I'm just able to really kind of like conceal and even out some of the stuff in the center of my face with my foundation and concealer, then it just doesn't really matter if any of that product is brought all the way out, because it's almost like then the natural redness of my skin kind of acts as like a contour or like a blush, you know what I mean? And honestly, having to wear a mask all the time, I would rather just not have all that makeup on my skin, you know? So I do need to pick up another one of these sooner rather than later, because I don't even think I have enough to finish out the rest of the week. Although, of course, the way that they discontinue shit all the time, they've already kind of done that with this product. So I get the Studio Finish Concealer in the Pro Pan version because it's a little bit more shallow. You can drop it right down into these little mini palettes here from MAC, but they have discontinued most of the shades in the Pro Pan version, including NW20, which is the one that I wear. And when I went onto the MAC website, because they also sell this as something called full coverage foundation. It's the exact same product. It's the exact same formula. It's just in a compact version. It's a larger size and you get a lot more. They were, of course, out of NW20, which is the one that I need. So I think what I'm going to have to do is grab the smaller size that comes in like the little pot, which does have more product than the little pro pans here, which is fine because then I can just scrape some of that out of that container into this one and still keep it in this tiny little compact. Now, I turned down the ring light for this video. I've just noticed lately when I'm editing any of my makeup content that I just feel like everything is a little too bright and a little too blown out. And I think that turning the lights down a little bit, you get more of a read for what things actually look like. Even if it's showing off more like texture and lines and pores and all that, I would rather things read more actual realistic than look a little bit too blown out and pretty, you know. Also, I've been getting a lot of comments on my videos lately about the sound quality, and I know that that's an issue. The app that I film my videos through, it's called Film IC Pro, and they had an update to their app, which I feel like whenever there's an update to an app, they always make it worse than it was before. I mean, look at what Instagram does all the time. That app has gotten worse and worse and worse over the past several years. And every time there's a new update, it's like, what the fuck did you do to this now? But with one of the most latest updates to the app I filmed through, the sound was like way low. And so when I was going in to edit videos, I was turning the sound way up so that you could hear what I was saying, but it's just not loud enough apparently. So I guess when you're watching my videos, probably you should be watching with your headphones on or your earbuds in or whatever they're called, because they updated the app again saying that they had fixed the issue with the sound, but they didn't, because I'm still having comments. And I even notice it myself when I'm editing, and I do turn it up as loud as I possibly can to try to fix that issue, but apparently it still just hasn't been fixed. So hopefully in the near future they will fix this issue, because it's as annoying to me as it is to you guys. I totally get it. Okay, and then just to get in here a little bit closer so you can see how this looks on my skin. It doesn't really settle into any of my fine lines or any of that under my eyes. And then also, I've only blended that out kind of up here into this area. Like all of my temple area, everywhere there, that's just my natural skin. And again, that's what I like so much about this as a foundation, is that it just kind of mimics the natural texture of your skin. So even if you don't blend it out all over your face, and even if you just kind of like pinpoint, conceal, and kind of fix areas that need fixing, you don't feel like you need to completely mask your whole face in it. It's just a very natural skin-like foundation, and I've really been liking it a lot. Now, obviously, there is a lot of dewiness, there's a lot of glow because of that Glow Starter moisturizer, but I just think that it works really well with this as a foundation, and I just really like how it looks on my skin. So let me go ahead and get some powder on. But I'm taking my Franken powder, which you guys saw what I use and how I make it in a previous video. I'm taking that on. This is a tapered highlighter, the F35 by Sigma, and I'm going to just lightly set underneath the eyes to start. I've been using a lot less setting powder on my face as well lately, because again, I just overall want less product on my face. So just a tiny little bit. I am gonna go in with more powder underneath my eyes before I put on eyeshadow. But even then, I've been using a brush to lay that powder down, because I find lately that if I'm using a beauty blender and just really packing that powder underneath my eyes, then it just, for me, even becomes way too much powder. It's starting to look a little bit just older, and I'm not trying to look older. I'm trying to look a little younger. So again, I'm oily, so I'm gonna have to set down my foundation, but I really have been using a lot less powder lately than I ever have, and I've really been liking the outcome. And I find that the thinner the foundation powder, the whole thing, the less product that you have on your skin, when you go to remove your mask later on, if you need to touch up any of your makeup, you just don't have to touch up as much because there just wasn't that much on your face to start with. And then to set around the perimeter of my face, where I haven't laid down any product yet, no foundation, no concealer, no powder, I am using just a little bit of this. This is the Next to Nothing pressed powder by MAC. This is in the shade Light Plus. I do think this has been discontinued. They discontinued the foundation, but I think that they did maybe keep the powders around for a little while. I could be wrong, but I think that this has been discontinued as well. If you're looking for a dupe for this powder, the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Press Powder, I think, is very, very similar to this, because it's a very transparent. Even the tinted ones are very, very transparent. So you can set down areas of your face without worrying that you're gonna build up too much product or too much thickness, you know what I mean? And then I take that out here as well. And then another thing with this powder is that it is just a little bit deeper than my Franken powder that I set the center of my face with. So this just kind of starts to act as a contour, even though it's like a very, very subtle difference in depth than the rest of my face. It just kind of gives you a starting point for your contour. Okay, so I finished up my contouring, eyebrows, all that stuff off camera. It's always the same products, it's always the same steps. Although the same could be said about my eyeshadow application. But today I'm gonna be using, I just got this. This is the Naughty palette from BH Cosmetics. I haven't used any BH Cosmetics eyeshadows in quite a long time, actually. I pretty much have decluttered most of my BH products, aside from the Marble Luxe brush set, which I still use and love a lot of brushes from that set, which is really affordable and really good quality. And then their highlighter palette, the Duo Light 9 color highlighter palette thing, whatever. That one's really good and I still use that one a lot. But I did get rid of all of my BH eyeshadow palettes, and I feel like they've been getting a lot of really good reviews lately with their eyeshadow launches. And then when I saw that this one was out, and I just really liked that as far as like the color story went, it was kind of all over the place, but I felt like you could create a lot of different looks with this palette because there's so much going on in it. It's got lots of light shimmery tones. It's got plenty of matte transitions. It's got plenty of deeper shades. It has a couple of shades that almost look like pressed glitters, but I think they might just be like extra shimmery eyeshadows. So I think that the first one that calls out to me is the shade here called Secret Santa. It's got a little bit of warmth to it, maybe a little bit peachy, but not like full on peach. My eyelids are so peely. Again, I don't think it was the eye cream. I really do think it was the caffeine solution, because since I stopped using that one, the skin isn't nearly as like tight and crazy as it was before. But since it's only been like maybe 3 or 4 days since I stopped using it, the skin is still peeling and flaking off. So I'm hoping that that stops happening soon. But I'll use one of those really shimmery, glittery shades out of this palette, and hopefully that will kind of cover up and conceal some of like the flakiness that I still have going on. So we'll see. This brush that I'm using for the under eyes was gifted to me, and I think that this came in a boxy charm. I think there was maybe like 3 brushes, maybe 4 that came with this little set. This is a, what is this? This is a Luxie 209 large shader, and I've been liking this one a lot for smoking out the lower lash line, and not when I'm blowing out like a darker shadow along the lower lash line, but when I'm laying down my base, like my transition shade. It's a good shape, it's got good density, but it's really soft, and I think it's really perfect for just blowing out your transition underneath your eye. And I know that we're only on the first shade, but if this is any indication of what the rest of the shadows in this palette are going to be like, then I think that we'll probably have a winner, because it's really easy to blend out. It's not getting patchy or weird, and it pretty much just goes on at full opacity on your first layer. I don't feel like I'm gonna need to build up layers of shadow with this. I'm gonna go into this shade here called Santa Baby. It looks like kind of a dusty rose kind of color. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of kick up in the pan when you dip your brush into these. So maybe just kind of press and roll your brush into the pan rather than getting it in there and like swirling it around, because you're just gonna create too much dust, and then you're just kind of wasting product at that point too, you know? Yeah, when I bought this palette, I went into Ulta, and it's so weird the way that they have both Ulta and Sephora set up now. And I think it's because both of those stores just carry so many products now that when you walk in there, you just feel like you've walked onto an episode of Hoarders. There's just shit everywhere. And then like with BH Cosmetics, they're like a drugstore brand or like an affordable brand, but they didn't have any room for this palette over on the drugstore side. So it was kind of more just in this random place over by where the luxury makeup is, just kind of in random places, you know? So I found this palette, I found a bunch of other stuff that I wanted, and when I went to the checkout, now it's been super fucking windy in Northeast Ohio over the last, I don't know, week and a half or so, and windy to the point where I'm afraid to take my dogs outside to go to the bathroom, because I mean Bitsy only weighs 7 pounds, and it's been so windy that I'm afraid it's gonna like blow her into the neighbor's yard, you know? I went to the checkout to pay for my stuff, and I had a coupon that was expiring this weekend, and then on top of that I had a bunch of Ulta points that I wanted to cash in, and I had like $20 I was saving on my coupon, and I had like almost another $20 that I was saving in points, right? So they scanned all my stuff, they scanned my coupon, and then they went ahead and added my points to it as well. So as my transaction is going through, like the power kind of went out for a second, and so their computer system got all kinds of fucked up, and so I'm like waiting and waiting and waiting, and so finally it comes back on. So in the meantime, the screen, like the touch screen, it said transaction approved on the screen, but what ended up happening is the sale didn't go through, like the transaction didn't go through, but the points went through. So the system ate 500 of my points, and they were just gone. So they're trying to figure the thing out. They're on the phone with like the IT guy and all that. And this was on a Sunday, and they were like, well, we're gonna try to get your points back for you, but it'll probably take a couple of days. So if you wanna come back in a few days, and we'll, you know, get this all straightened out. And so I went in on Thursday on my day off, like right when they opened, and they had gotten it figured out. And so they went ahead and they applied the points, they took off the coupon, they took off the whole thing, and they were all super nice about it. They were super apologetic. And I mean, I wasn't being a dick or anything, you know what I mean? So they did definitely get it figured out. So I got to leave with my stuff, and here we are playing with this today. And then using that first brush that I used and kind of blending and marrying those 2 shades together. And then I'll see if I want to take that second shade up just a little bit higher. These blend out really, really nice. This is a great eyeshadow formula, which is crazy because this is what, like maybe a $25 palette. I don't know how much I paid for it, but it's got 30 shades and it's like really good quality. So, and again, I have heard a lot lately of people really liking the BH Cosmetics eyeshadow formula. So I just wanted to try it out for myself and see if I liked it too. All right, I want to build this up further, so I'm going to go into this bottom corner and take the shade Brick and build that crease up even further. This is an old MAC 221. This is I want to say it's probably goat hair or something, but this is one of their natural hair brushes before they changed everything to synthetic. I never did buy the new version, but I did get to like touch it and feel it and just look at it in store, and I was like, no, that's not even a little bit the same. So I wish I had bought a few backups of this brush before they changed them. This one is just one of my favorites, especially for like more like pinpoint, more kind of like detailed crease work right here. This is a really, really great brush. And if you hear that noise, the dogs have moved to the futon, and so Booger has found one of his bones, so he's kind of hanging out enjoying a bone right now. And then using Brick on a pencil brush under the lash line. This is definitely a makeup look that is going to call for Night Moth pencil on the waterline. I can guarantee it, because it's just gonna go really well with these shades. And I think I could go even darker on these outer corners and in the crease, so I'm gonna go into the shade Nutcracker. This is very similar to that Brick shade, only it's a little deeper. So taking that on a pencil brush and just kind of packing it into this outer corner and on the lower lash line. And there is a fuck ton of fallout with this shade. So again, make sure you've got plenty of powder set down to catch that fallout, or do your eyes first and your foundation afterward. Okay, so then I'm going to use the shade Chestnuts down here in this bottom row, which it kind of feels like a pressed glitter, honestly, but I'm going to take that on my finger and I am going to press that down on the lid. And this is one of those shades that pop down over top of a glitter primer is gonna give it even more intensity and more of that sparkle. But even on top of just a regular eyeshadow primer, it seems to be doing the trick. So which one of these do I want to use on my inner corners? So we've got a couple of light shimmers here. There's Snow Day, which has almost more of like a blue reflect on a white base. There's Cheers, which is just kind of a nice champagne-y tone color there. And then we've got Ornament, which is more of a light pinky tone. And maybe the pinky tone would make a little bit more sense with what I have going on here on my eyes already. So I'm gonna take a little bullet brush here and then just pop that right there on the inner corners. And I think I'm also gonna take that same shade and lay it down just under the brow here. You know, that brush worked so well for the brow arch there that I think I'm gonna take a little bit more and pop that right here and see if that makes any kind of a difference for the inner corner highlight. Yeah, maybe just a tiny bit of a difference there. And actually, I think I'm gonna sweep away this fallout here, and then I think I want to take some of these shades and use them as a cheek highlighter as well. Yeah, let's take the shade Cheers on a highlighting brush and see what that does on the cheekbones. Oh yeah, that kind of reminds me of Soft and Gentle by MAC. It's very similar in tone, and I think built up a little bit more, this one could be really blinding, so we'll see. And then taking the same shade on a M504 and see if we can get a little bit more intensity. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. I need this in a larger size to use specifically as a highlight shade. This one is really, really good. I think I would buy a backup of this palette just to have this shade as a highlighter. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my waterline pencil and my mascara off camera because that's boring to watch, and then we'll be right back for lips. Okay, so lips I did off camera, but still on camera, if that makes sense. You're watching it happen right now. This is the Buxom Full On Plumping Lip Polish in the shade Autumn. I don't really like the way that this one smells compared to the scent of their normal formula, and even the other scent that came with this fall collection, because this one, Hazel, has almost like that pumpkin spice kind of smell to it, where the shade Autumn that I used, it has more of like an apple scent to it, which it's not bad, but I don't love it. But I really do like the color of it, and I just like the way it looks with the rest of this makeup. Sorry about the hair. It's been over a week since I've washed it, and it just couldn't be saved. It's gonna get washed tomorrow because it's long overdue. But as far as the complexion goes, I've been really loving the MAC Studio Finish Concealer. It really is kind of a one-stop shop for concealing and for foundation. Again, I only used it in the center of my face and then built up my powder products around it and brought them in. And so it's not too much makeup. It's enough coverage for what I want. And again, since it is so skin-like, when you're wearing a mask over top of it, even if it does get a little bit fucked up, all you have to do is take a little bit of powder foundation and just kind of touch up those areas and you're good to go. As far as this BH palette goes, I fucking love it so far. Again, I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I've used 6 or 7 shades out of this palette, and I'm definitely gonna use some more. This look is gonna obviously be up on my Instagram, but then I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple of different looks with this palette because there's so many different colors going on with it, and you can take this in so many different directions. So I do wanna play around with as much of this as I can. So if you're not already, follow me over on my Instagram, and you can check out some of those looks. But that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys on the next one.